Disclaimer: this video is not meant to incite any form of harassment against anyone involved with the creation of this user interface. It is meant to be a critique of it, with most of my anger being played up for comedy. With that being said, I think it's safe to say that Chapter 5 might be the new golden age of Fortnite. From receiving 3 whole new fully fledged game modes, the game actually being really fun for once. I mean, look at this and tell me this doesn't look sick. There's a lot to like about Fortnite right now. However, there's this tiny little thing that got changed with the release of the chapter that has been grinding my gears ever since it got implemented. That thing is the locker user interface. This thing is borderline unusable if you've played with the old Fortnite locker. Like, at all. I legitimately don't even know where to begin with this thing. There are that many questionable things about it. Prior to Chapter 5, there weren't any side tabs since the other modes didn't exist yet. Instead, we just had your skin, backbling, pickaxe, glider, contrail, emote, wrap, banner, music pack, and loading screen slots. All on one page. This might sound overwhelming when said out loud, but in practice, it was actually pretty simple. Additionally, the preset selection tab covered your entire screen, showing a lot of presets and what was in them at once, which made navigating through them pretty simple, even if you hadn't named them. The system had been like this ever since presets were introduced to the game, with the only major changes being players receiving more preset slots to play around with. This system allowed people to make fully fledged combos where every item, including the wraps, the music packs, and the loading screens, could be used to complement the skin or skin style you were using. The only real complaint I had with this system is that if you stuck to using a single banner or set of emotes across all your presets, it was quite annoying to change them if you wanted to swap some of them for newer ones you liked more. Since you'd have to go to every single preset you had set up and painstakingly change them out one by one. However, that was a minor annoyance with the old system, and it wasn't anything to write home about. Thankfully, the new UI solved this specific issue. At the cost of overcorrecting to compensate for all the new cosmetic types that exist because of the new modes. Now, the locker is split into the character section, which contains your skins, backblings, pickaxes, gliders, contrails, and the overtime aura, which is completely unusable outside of Festival. The emote selection, which houses your 6 emote slots, the lobby selection, which contains your banners, music packs, and loading screens, the wrap section, which is literally just your 6 wrap slots, the instruments section that houses your Fortnite Festival instruments, the car section, which has all your car bodies, wheels, boost effects, and drifting smokes, the jam tracks section, where you're able to equip 8 songs, and the LEGO Kits section, aka the section which allows you to show off the fact that you've spent absurd amounts of money in order to be able to build a couple of things in a free half-baked survival adventure game. All of these sections, besides the LEGO Kits, I don't know, have 100 preset slots. On the surface, it might seem like it's not much. I mean, everything is still there, it's just organized differently. That's exactly the problem. If you want your combo to match like it did before the introduction of this UI, you'll have to go through the character, the lobby, and the wrap tab, and individually select a preset for every single one of them, by hand. This is incredibly annoying, but I sort of understand why it is like that. Imagine you have a skin that you really like, and a lot of wraps go well with them. So you go and make a bunch of presets that have different wrap combinations for said skin. However, that is literally the only use case I see for this. This makes randomizing combos basically impossible, as the disconnect makes it so that the wraps and the lobby sections are randomized independently of the character section, meaning you can roll your outfit to be Hades, the lord of the underworld himself, with a matching backbling, pickaxe and such, while your wrap is the most obnoxiously pink one you have, with the lobby blasting you with a bootleg anime opening and showing you a loading screen of a group of frauds. And this problem only extends if you make instrument and car presets dedicated to matching the character skin you're wearing. So if you want a random combo that still matches, I guess you'll just have to roll the dice and manually slug through all your presets to get to the stuff necessary for the combo, which is really annoying if you have all your presets filled up. But hey, at least the locker functions properly, right? Right? No! For starters, they changed it to where simply hovering over a cosmetic with your cursor automatically previews it, and you just need to click on a given cosmetic if you want to equip it, instead of having to click a separate button, or just double click. While on the topic of buttons, they decided to get rid of every single one, except for the edit style and close buttons, and shove them all into a drop-down menu that you access by clicking on a 3 dots icon that appears in the bottom right corner of the icon of the item your cursor is hovering over. This menu immediately closes itself if your cursor leaves its bounds. Sounds alright so far, right? Here's where the fun begins! If you open the menu on any item, it opens next to the cursor. Thankfully, it doesn't immediately close itself. It only closes itself if you move your cursor even a pixel into any direction other than straight to the menu. It also closes if you move your cursor at all before the animation of the menu popping up finishes playing. The menu closing isn't that big of a deal by itself. However, what is a problem is that the menu closing moves the main locker menu to the item you currently have selected. This is really annoying if you're trying to favorite an item without having to equip it, especially if your currently equipped item is at the very bottom of the locker due to your sorting settings, and the item you're trying to favorite is at the top because of the very same settings. So, if you have shaky hands, you're going to have to scroll and scroll and scroll over and over and over again, just to favorite a single item. Great user experience! What makes this even more annoying and painful is that the edit style button, that's also shoved into that menu despite being on the bottom of the screen, just selects the item even if you went through the effort of trying to enter it through that godforsaken menu. So at that point, why not just make it so clicking on the dots which open the menu also selects the item? It wouldn't solve the menu being overly sensitive, but it would help with not having to scroll for minutes on end due to the menu being overly sensitive. Speaking of scrolling, what the hell is the deal with the sorting filters? The sort filter menu has a bunch of options and 2 navigation buttons, apply and cancel. You'd think that apply would just save your changes within the sorting filters, and cancel would undo the changes and return to the sorting options you had selected before opening the menu. Kinda like how it worked before chapter 5. Judging by the fact that this video exists and I'm bringing this up, you can probably guess that it doesn't work like that. Instead, the cancel button, the only one with a keyboard shortcut mind you, is a reset to defaults button, and the apply button is the only way to keep the filters as anything other than sorting by default and filtering by all. This is extra fun when you take into account that the filtering options already reset themselves whenever you go into any game mode. This sucks. Also, I think it's a great time to mention that with this UI update, Epic made it so you cannot tell the rarities of the cosmetics apart just by looking at their icon. Now, to see a cosmetic's rarity, you actually have to inspect the cosmetic itself. This was changed later on, as since then, all of the collaboration and special rarity cosmetics got their special rarities back. But the regular rarities are still gone because, This means that you can't easily find the cosmetics you want to use by looking for its rarity, cause you can't even look for its rarity, unless said rarity is tied to a deal worth thousands if not millions of dollars, or a random tactic used to boost sales of some random pack that costs a lot of money. This is even more fun when you take into account that the default sorting option is sorting it by rarity, not to be confused with the option to sort it by rarity. So for someone who isn't brain rotten enough to know the rarities of Fortnite cosmetics by heart, it just looks like a bunch of shit is arbitrarily thrown higher or lower up in the locker, especially since over the course of this game's 7 years of existence, the standards for a cosmetic's rarity changed so much that some of the modern uncommon skins probably would have been legendaries back in chapter 1. This originally wasn't in the script, but when gathering the footage for this video, I found out that there actually is a difference between the default sorting and sorting by rarity. Sorting stuff by rarity means that some of the ancient special rarity type of cosmetics aren't grouped together with other things from those special rarities, cause the special rarities were introduced later on, and before that, those cosmetics had regular rarities. To which I say, the game literally calls the rarities by their special rarity name. Why are they even separated on the sort by rarity option? And why is this not a problem with the default sorting option, when that just sorts items by the rarities anyway? Wait a second, if that's the case, then why the fuck does the sort by rarity option even exist? These problems with these overly sensitive and illogical menus apply to quite literally every tab of this locker. And in case of things like wraps or reloading screens, as the option to apply the wrap to all wrap slots and the option to full screen a loading screen are locked behind those menus, which leads to further complications when trying to make a matching combo. I'd be willing to cut this whole mess a bit of slack if at least selecting presets after going through the Herculean task of actually making them was easy. It's not. In the old locker, The tile you needed to click on in order to even select your presets showed that presets selected skin, backbling, pickaxe, glider, and a vehicle wrap. There were some problems with it, like the fact that due to the way the locker's icons worked, you couldn't actually view the edit style of the selected skin, but chances are you could still tell what the preset is by looking at the other items shown in the preset menu without having to resort to naming them. Now, the presets only display the icon of the first thing in that tab of the locker. Also, the whole screen is no longer covered by neatly spaced out presets. Now the presets are squished together on one half of the screen, with the other half being dedicated to previewing quite literally one item of the preset, and a bunch of tiny little tiles with all the icons of all the items of the preset. This means that telling your combos apart just by looking at a given preset without having to name it is no longer possible. You need to hover over the preset to see the preview and how the icons for the other items show up. This preview thing itself is also extremely inconsistent. The previews of the car and character tab presets actually show you more than one thing at a time due to the way the car shows your equipped wheels and decals, and the way the skin you're wearing will always have the equipped backbling on its back. Previewing emotes, wraps, instruments, and jump tracks is nearly pointless, as due to their nature, there's only one item that's actually shown, and that's not really useful, like at all. And then there's previewing the lobby tab, which literally shows fucking nothing. It doesn't preview your music pack, or loading screen, or even the banner, which, to be fair, is shown as the preset icon. Instead, half the goddamn screen is just empty! Who designed this?! Considering the fact that the previews are less than helpful for literally everything other than the car, and that they show the little icons for everything in the corner either way, they might as well have just filled the space designated for the previews with other preset slots. That way, it might feel less cramped. Nothing, and I truly mean nothing about this UI makes sense to me. Though I kinda feel like I get the thought process behind it. They introduced a bunch of new cosmetic types with a bunch of cross-mode compatibility, and needed to find a way to implement the ability to select them without having the locker turn into a complete cluttered mess. Stuff usable only in Fortnite Festival and an emote option is scattered across 3 whole tabs. I don't think they succeeded like at all. The fact that cosmetics are quite literally this game's only form of monetization makes the fact that this UI is such a buggy and tedious mess even more puzzling to me, cause like, why would people want to spend their hard-earned cash to buy anything if simply trying to equip stuff requires a blood sacrifice? It's just mind-boggling. Having highlighted my issues with this UI, I'd like to reiterate that I have no actual ill will for anyone involved in actually making and implementing this menu, and I have quite literally zero professional experience in anything related to game development, so take this segment with a grain of salt. So, how would I, a random Polish NB whose only experience with UI is looking at newer Megaton games and saying, "Oh wow, this is so cool!" try to fix this mess? First off, I'd bring back the ability to see the rarity of the cosmetics, as it would help with organization, and just remove the sort by rarity option and rename the default to that, as they're practically identical already. While talking about the sorting, I'd make it so the cancel option just reverted the changes made after opening the menu to how they were prior to opening the menu, instead of resetting it to defaults. To combat the issue of the 3-dot menus being overly sensitive, I'd throw it out entirely in favor of the old buttons. But if I had to keep it, I'd just make it so clicking out of bounds is the thing that closes them, instead of just having your cursor outside of them, and have them be unable to be closed before the animation finishes playing. I'd also bring back having to click on a save button to actually equip stuff, instead of everything equipping just by clicking on it once. In the case of wraps and loading screens which quite literally don't have edit styles, I'd replace the edit style button with apply to all and full screen buttons, respectively. When it comes to presets, I'd have all the icons for the stuff that's inside of them appear like it did in the old UI. If I had to maintain the slick one icon simplicity thing, I'd have the icons appear if you clicked or hovered over the preset. I already mentioned that I'd like to throw out the preview thing, but if it had to stay, I'd make it so it constantly changes to previewing the next item in the given preset after a couple of seconds. For general ease of combo making, I have 2 possible solutions. The first one, which I'll call the Band-Aid solution, would be adding a preset tab for selecting multiple presets at once. This would allow people to instantly select a good matching combo without having to go through the effort of scrolling through all 7 tabs. The second solution would be completely redoing the locker UI from scratch again. Here's when my lack of UI designing experience is gonna shine. I'd have the main tab be one big thing that requires scrolling instead of being heavily segmented. The cosmetic types would be broken up by their name, which would have an edit button next to them, which would open up a menu allowing you to save and load presets for that cosmetic type, similar to how scrolling down in the current UI does it. The old option to save, load, and edit presets would be there, and would function identically to the presets from the Mandate solution. Oh, and the Lego kits would be there, at the bottom, where they deserve to be. Both of these options would allow people to quickly equip carefully crafted combos, while maintaining the flexibility given by having stuff like emote and wrap presets. Having presets that encompass the whole locker would also give people the ability to randomize those presets, and actually have the game give them cohesive and good combos after every game, instead of giving them an incoherent mess. This video was basically just a big vent piece about this UI, as it genuinely needs improvement in some form or another, as it's honestly souring my whole experience with Chapter 5, which has been great aside from it, and the fact that the grass in the main grass biome is weirdly desaturated. Seriously, someone needs to water that thing, it looks sick. Anyway, I think that's all for this one. Take care, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!